Yeah.
Hey guys,
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, how you doing?
doing great. I love this. I had no idea what I was getting into, and then when I realized it was a Frankenstein story, I was like, "Oh, I'm fully on board in so many ways." But what I really loved about this was uh, the idea that instead of wanting to create life like Dr. Frankenstein does, uh, it is rooted in wanting to beat death because of all of the pain and the grief that exists. And so, uh, for you, as the writer and creator of a story like this, Bomani, what kind of drove you into writing this in the first place and telling it from a young Black girl's perspective?
I mean, it really starts from, my home. Like I have two older sisters who were constantly just mentoring me throughout my life and saying crazy stuff to me. Like, it's just like and they were really kind of some of my first brusques with, intelligence and stuff like that. And so like and then reading the book Mary Shelley's Frankenstein at fresh out of high school, like it horrified me and gave me anxiety and stuff like that. It's like and then reading that she basically wrote it when she was like 18 or something like that, it's like off of a whim of a bet, you know what I mean? Like they're just like, who can write the best scary story, you know what I mean? Like
Beautiful.
overnight, and I was like, all right, Mary Shelley, you don't need to, you don't need to stun on us that hard. But just like a combination of those things made me kind of like, it's like, and then like the universal themes of the story like resonate today to me, and like it I just had to tell it and reinterpret it, in a way that I felt like was appropriate, and it just didn't feel like it should go any other way, and it's like obviously there's other elements to it. It's like, I want to make sure I pay homage to The Fountain with Aronofsky because he has that line, death is a disease. And like that was where I was like, I wanted to, take that and pay homage to him, and kind of that's where this story kind of brewed and came from.
Yeah, and it's so important. Leia, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
Leah.
I didn't want to say. I was like,
Great job, such Star Wars.
and I got BB-8 right there, so like it's not that um so it is so important. Like your performance is kind of why like the movie would have worked as a whole with a story, but your performance is what brings it together and makes you care, because the minute she was called the mad scientist, I was like, oh hell yeah, this is going to be off the rails and I'm gonna love every second of it. um but there are so many scenes that are just like so good. Like I've been thinking about that classroom scene since I watched the movie where she is like yelling at the teacher for saying her name wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, that's good. Good for her. She should yell at that teacher. That teacher fucking sucked. Um, but for you as a performer, what was kind of like the joy in getting to play this character who is so smart that she literally cheats death, even though like she's the mad scientist. Like it was an apt way of describing her as a character.
Right. I mean, there's so much to love about Beccaria. And again, I've said it once, I'll say it again. That was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this movie, is because I was just so fascinated with her. Just, of course, that obsession with death and that fascination with it, and how fine that line can be between life and death. But also on top of that, she's super smart. She's a 17-year-old prodigy, but at the end of the day, she's also 17. She is trying to figure it out. She's searching for family. She's coming from a community that she has to kind of have this tough exterior at all times. So there was a lot that as an actor I was able to play with, and I was very interested in playing. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that scene, because I know Bamani loves that scene and I do too. And we were really careful with it and wanted to make sure that it was detailed and specific to the experience that Bamani's sister, who I actually got the chance to talk to's experience was, because it's based off of a real situation that happened. And I mean, not just with the real situation, but as you can see with my name, and I mean, I'm half Filipino as well, so my middle name is DeLeon. I get it all the time. It's those sort of microaggressions or again, systemic racism that unfortunately we encounter all the time and every day, especially growing up as a young girl, that I could really relate to when it came to Vicaria. And I thought was interesting to add on to a very classic tale of Frankenstein, and that has all to do with, again, Bomani's genius.
No, 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 no. She brought it to life, you know. Those words on paper, they're just words on paper. If they're not believable, then here's so yeah, yeah.
Well, and that does bring, but Bonnie, there's so many like themes throughout this movie that like it really is like, while it is a Frankenstein story, it is pushing like so many different, like, not genres, because it's still a genre film, it is still like a horror-esque film, but it is pushing so many real life issues that I think a lot of films are almost too afraid to even like touch on, or if they do, it's not, it's the whole movie where while you tackle quite a few issues all within one horror film, as it were. For you, was that something that you always kind of wanted to do with this movie? Was that the goal, or did it kind of just like unfold in that way while you were writing it?
I mean, well, for one, it's just like when you're thinking about the original text, you know, it's just like that movie is taking pretty big swings at very big themes like the whole
Mhm.
time. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So to do a tale like this and not do that, I feel like is being disingenuous, you know, you know. And so like, and at the same time for me, like you know, it's like a lot of the artists I look up to, you know, it's just like that's what they do. You know, it's just like, and to me, the mark of a great story is not only like, you know, obviously telling a great story, but also, you know, good characters. And, you know, it's just like in having resonating themes that make you walk away from it thinking about things, you know. And like I remember one of my friends telling a story about they went to go watch Finding Nemo, and like, you know, and when he came out of the theater, this is a weird thing, but when he came out of the theater, he was just like, he turned to his wife and was like, "Am I a good father?" You know, so it's like, so like, it's something very simple, but it's just like, that's a, you know, that's a theme. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's a, you know, that's a message, and it makes you feel a certain way and start asking certain questions. So like, to me, it's like, of course, like I want to tell a great story. I want you to have a good time, whatever that means to you. It's like, you know, in a horror film, but like, I also want you to, you know, I hope to achieve you walking away with thoughts in your head, you know, about things. You
Mhm.
know, it's just like, I hope so. You know, it's like, and I hope you feel a certain way. And you know, obviously these are personal themes that are, you know, resonant to me within my own community and my own personal experiences, and people around me, you know. It's like, so that was, you know, it was important to me to try to capture this and capture the rawness of it, because I don't feel like I would be being honest if I didn't.
Mhm. Yeah, I do have to know, you mentioned The Fountain, which I do think is a movie that like not that many people think about as much as I do. So it is nice to hear that I'm not alone in how often I think about The Fountain.
Yeah.
I truly was like, when you said that, I like went to Google. I was like, wait, he's talking about the fountain with like Rachel Weisz and Hugh Jackman, right? And then
Yeah.
and I was like, oh yeah, for sure, great.
Yeah.
And like my obsession with that movie. But it is like what I loved. I love a lot of things about this movie, but what I really loved about the angry black girl and her monster is the like way Vicaria deals with loss, because it is that mentality of like when you are young, you're like, no, I'm going to figure out a way that I never have to lose another person, or I can bring the people I love back.
Mm.
Um, and it's really powerful. And I think a lot of it does have to do, Leia, with the way that she is so strong. Like she's literally talking to someone who has had people murdered and she just does not care. She's gonna say what she wants to say to his face. And I was like, she's way stronger than I'd be in that situation. I'd be like, no, what do you want me to do? I'll do whatever. And she was just like, I hate this guy. And so for you, kind of finding that like strength within that character and like knowing like she really, for lack of a better term, doesn't give a fuck what people think. She's going to do what she is determined to do. How was it kind of getting to explore that within a character and find that confidence and that determination to kind of be this quote unquote mad scientist who does bring her loved ones back.
Yeah, if anything, it was freeing. It was really like a liberating experience, I think. Again, just when I mean, I've been acting since I was like 9 years old, and you kind of know the types of like characters you're gonna get when you're around like 14 to 18, you know? And to get Vicaria and to just even see that character, that email come into my inbox and read about her and see that script, I just knew that it was something that I wanted to be a part of, and it was going to challenge me in a way that I hadn't been challenged before. What's so great about Vicaria, and in a way in my own life, is inspiring to even see just how she is not afraid to march to the beat of her own drum and not care about what anyone thinks. It makes her interesting because, I mean, even growing up in, this kind of goes into something else, but like the social media and digital age where we're constantly focused on what's trending or on other people's opinions of something. And growing up as a person of color and seeing that, you tend to feel quite small, and Vicaria never feels that way. You know, she's always an individual and constantly reiterating what she believes, no matter what people feel about that. So to tap into it, it was almost like being able to play her was everything that I wanted to do or say internally that I just like couldn't get out as myself, you know? And even probably in a few years, I'll look back at this experience in retrospect and be like, this was really a pivotal part or role for me, because now I think of Vicaria and I think of this experience and I feel so much freer after being able to play her and see how she handles certain situations too. So yeah, hopefully that answered it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm obsessed with her because like again, not to go back to that school scene, but when her teacher's like she's obsessed with death, and her dad's basically like, who cares? Like, you were rude to my daughter. As a Scorpio, I'm like, yeah, who cares if you're obsessed with death? That's fine. Like, it's like, who isn't? But there are just so many levels and like moments of this movie that are just so good. And even like I do love that it kind of like gives you clues when something scary is about to happen, because I know like there will be a lot of people who are like, I'm too afraid. And it's like, nah, it's good. Just go. It'll tell you when it's something scary is gonna jump out at you. Don't worry about it. But for you both, as kind of my last question, what do you hope audiences take away when they get to see the film and get to meet Vicaria and see this story?
That's a good question. Like I mean, I think like I hope they're able to have a good experience watching this movie. I hope they're able to, you know, get a little bit grossed out, get a little bit so get a little jump scare in there, you know, and have a good ride, and also walk away with some thoughts in their head. You know, it's just like, and you know, I just hope they're able to experience this and have a fun time watching this movie, or at least a thought-provoking time watching this movie. And I also hope that you know, some of the thematics that are being pushed, people are able to take another look at things. You know, it's like, because you know the big thing is just, you know, I don't like dehumanization. You know, it's just like, I mean, I don't think anybody does, but like sometimes it feels like people don't care. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I just think the world would be a better place if we weren't dehumanizing people so easily. You know, and I feel like it would. I hope that we can that this movie helps, this horror movie helps push that. How's that? You know?
Yeah.
Agreed. And again, like Bomani said with Finding Nemo, and I laughed at first, but it's a very true thing, because I just experienced this with The Wiz, where I was watching The Wiz and I was like, this is a silly movie. And by the end of it, I'm like, home is within me, you know?
The Wiz. We need to talk about The Wiz. Another 15 about The Wiz. Please.
Had 15 minutes also, we can talk about The Wiz.
Yeah.
like what I said. I hope it's thought-provoking, and you know, I think our title is so great. I love our title and how like gripping it is, but I hope people can actually take note and awareness to like who the real monsters are in our society and in our communities, how the monsters within ourselves too. I hope they can take note of that, and like Vicaria, are willing and courageous enough to try to make change. So
Yeah, I cannot wait for audiences to get to see this movie. I want to talk. Like I came out of my room this morning and talked to my roommate. Was like, it's basically Frankenstein. It's a new Frankenstein. I'm obsessed with it. I want everyone to watch this movie. I was like, it is a cooler Frankenstein. I'm obsessed. But I cannot wait for people to get to see it. And thank you both so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad the movie resonated with you. And I do want to like side note, be like, I am a fan of your work, so it's cool being interviewed by you.
Listen, we're just two Fountain fans
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
Two fans of the Fountain.
Yeah.
Having a convo about a great movie that Mary Shelley would be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like wherever she is in the ethers, she'd be like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. I hope so. Hopefully that would be great.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.